Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. As a workplace mentor, I literally watch brilliant people build these invisible barriers for themselves every single day. Today, we're going to deconstruct what I call the architecture of overthinking. We're going to break down exactly how our minds construct these wild, elaborate, and frankly stressful mazes out of completely standard workdays. To really bring this to life, we're going to follow a typical professional, let's call him Alex, through his day. We'll watch how a perfectly normal Tuesday can slowly get completely hijacked by internal analysis. But more importantly, we'll look at how we can actually break that cycle.
So let me ask you this. Why do simple tasks often feel so downright exhausting? Have you ever reached the end of a workday, realized you only crossed maybe one or two basic things off your to-do list, but you feel like you just ran a mental marathon? Well, our source material highlights a really fascinating phenomenon. Simple responsibilities can actually feel far more complicated than they truly are. It's not the physical labor or even the actual difficulty of the work that drains us, it's the immense mental weight we attach to it. So, let's dive into exactly how that weight piles up.
Here is the roadmap for Alex's day. First, we have 9 a.m., the morning task. Then 1 p.m., the midday pressure. And finally, 6 p.m., the evening echo.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, the morning trap, overcomplicating the simple.
So, it's 9 a.m. Alex receives a super basic request, just drafting a routine weekly update. It should be quick, right? But instead of just jumping in and writing it, the over-preparation begins. He pulls up 3 past reports just to cross-reference the formatting. He starts agonizing over font choices or tweaking the phrasing in paragraph 2. By zooming in and analyzing these tiny, irrelevant details, he effectively delays the actual work. What should have been a 15-minute task suddenly eats up an entire hour, and this totally simple responsibility has morphed into a massive, self-created hurdle.
And why does this happen? Well, it's because projecting hypothetical outcomes is completely paralyzing. In fact, the data shows that overthinking can slow down our daily decision-making by up to 40%. That is a huge chunk of your day gone. Alex isn't just writing an email here. His brain is mapping out 5 different hypothetical futures of how his boss might react. It creates this massive mental roadblock. This constant analysis just paralyzes his ability to make a choice and move forward.
Moving on to Section 2, the midday pressure, the perfectionism trap.
We've all heard the word, but perfectionism is really the intense pressure to always get everything exactly right. Now, in a lot of corporate cultures, people wear this like a badge of honor. But as a mentor, I can tell you, I see it as a really heavy burden. By 1 p.m., Alex is facing a complex project. But instead of aiming for excellent and complete, the absolute demand to be flawless just halts his progress completely. This intense pressure means nothing ever feels ready to hit send.
The core issue we're seeing here is stressful productivity. That's a state where your internal thinking is actually way louder than your physical action. Alex is just mentally exhausted by all this internal noise, but very little tangible work is actually getting done. We really need to shift him toward productive action, where he's moving forward with clarity. When you step out of that perfectionism trap, the mental noise quiets down. You replace that stressful, swirling thought loop with real, actual forward momentum.
Which brings us to Section 3, the evening echo. Failing to switch off. And this brilliantly illustrates how the office just follows you home. The evening echo is exhausting. It's 6 p.m., Alex is at home, he's eating dinner, but his brain is still checking the math on a spreadsheet he already submitted hours ago. He's mentally replaying a quick Slack message from 2 p.m., repeatedly reinterpreting a slight pause his manager made during a meeting. He is totally struggling to mentally switch off from work mode. He's letting the office consume his personal time, which just keeps him trapped right in that overthinking loop.
Now for the good part, Section 4, the pivot, choosing action over analysis.
Clarity and action are more powerful than endless analysis. As Alex's mentor, this is exactly where we intervene. We take that complex midday project he was so stuck on, and we break it down into just 3 simple bullet points. We just draft a quick outline, because action breeds clarity. Taking a decisive step forward, even if it's an imperfect one, provides so much more relief and mental clarity than sitting still and trying to analyze every single possible variable. When Alex chooses empowering action, absolutely everything shifts. Instead of agonizing over his morning task, he actively overcomes the urge to overprepare. He limits his research and reduces his task preparation time by exactly half, cutting it from 30 minutes right down to 15. By abandoning that pressure to be completely flawless, he gains immense mental relief. And you know what the best part is? When Alex stops overanalyzing, his personal bottleneck clears up, which actually increases the overall productivity of his entire team. He reclaims his evening and he finally leaves work at work.
So I want to leave you with this challenge. Will you choose endless analysis or empowering action tomorrow? When you log on and face that very first simple task, just notice if your brain starts trying to overcomplicate it. Notice if the thinking is getting louder than the action, because you have the power to interrupt that cycle. Choose the step, choose the action. Ultimately, breaking down the architecture of overthinking doesn't require some massive overhaul of your life. It just requires you to stop analyzing and start moving. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope you step into tomorrow with incredible clarity.